It's Channel Grim and Grin's Monster Bites, The Silent Screams. This episode...
Nosferatu!
Coming out in 1922, Nosferatu, a symphony of horror, is the oldest on-screen version of Dracula to still exist. And even then, we're lucky that it does still exist, after all copies were ordered to be destroyed due to copyright infringement. It was like a classic DMCA takedown, but with fire. Being the oldest existing Dracula, some of you who have not seen the film might expect it to be outdated or surpassed by the subsequent Dracula films that followed. But you would be wrong. This movie is iconic. Despite the film having a few goofier elements, looking at you, silly skeleton clock, it also has many moments that to this day are rather frightening. And while this film's vampire might not have the suaveness of Bela Lugosi's Dracula, or the demonic presence of Christopher Lee's, or the terrible hairstyle of Gary Oldman, I don't really have anything positive to say about that film, but moving on. While he doesn't have those elements, he does undoubtedly look, out of the three, the most unsettling. And unsettling is probably the word best used to describe this film. If you let yourself watch this movie while in the right headspace with no distractions and the lights off, there are moments in it that are pretty creepy. Nosferatu's shadow making its way up the stairs is iconic, as well as the shot of him entering into the doorway, and of course him walking across the deck of the Demeter. All of these scenes have left an undeniable influence in the horror landscape, and are still referenced and drawn from for inspiration today. In fact, I would actually say that the Count's crossing from Transylvania to England on the Demeter is done better and more fleshed out in 1922's Nosferatu than it is in 1931's Universal Dracula film, which is perhaps why when Universal recently released The Voyage of the Demeter focused entirely on this crossing, the vampire looks an awful lot more like Nosferatu than it does Bela Lugosi. Beyond this, references to Nosferatu can be seen practically everywhere, all the way from his being featured in SpongeBob SquarePants to his actor's name, Max Schreck, being lifted for Christopher Walken's character in Batman Returns, to the album cover of the great heavy metal band Ghost's first EP. However, the film's influence on the vampire mythos goes far beyond just clever little references and cute head nods. It is, after all, the origin and inventor of the vampire's most famous kryptonite, that of sunlight. That's right, before Nosferatu, a vampire could happily take a stroll in the sun, but afterwards you couldn't do so without someone raising an eyebrow. And so Nosferatu, a symphony of horror. Despite being over 100 years old, few Dracula films have yet managed to match it in style and fright, so check it out.